Favors. Hello everyone, how are you? So, I have quite a light-hearted talk for you today. Contrary to our usual talks, for those who are familiar, we're not going to talk about guerrilla interoperability, we're not going to do a deep technical dive into the Favor stack, or how to ensure self-sovereignty into your apps. Instead, I want to introduce you to an analogy that I'm going to be using and abusing throughout this talk. It's an analogy that speaks specifically to people in the room that might be more working on consumer apps or trying to distribute apps or technologies that they just built and that preserve the privacy of their users, that are self-sovereign or are decentralized, but have experienced the exact same problem that we have for the past 2 years, which is that the cognitive load, in order to explain to the average person that is maybe not a technologist or not even in tune with what's happening in the space, it is way too high for someone to get up to speed to why privacy or even decentralization is important for them. So we've tried different approaches throughout those years of having ddocs.new and dshis.new in our public beta. And one of them, a more recent one that has been working quite well in some of the talks we're doing at university, in some communities that are completely out of crypto, specifically European tech scenes that are not only not familiar with crypto, but maybe even a bit hostile towards it. So we always try to find ways to talk about those things without directly mentioning the B word, blockchain. So the analogy today is about the ultra-processed internet, but the actual talk is really on digital sovereignty. For those who don't know, I'm one of the co-founders of Favors. We have 2 public beta apps, ddocs.new, dshis.new. There are full feature parity alternatives to Google Docs, Google Sheets, Excel, Word, but they come with end-to-end encryption. We cannot censor you. Even if tomorrow we all disappear in the team, you'll still be able to take your data with you and rage quit our apps without needing to ask for our permission. So let's get into it. There are 3 parts to the talk. I'm going to keep them really quite light. The first one is on how to make digital sausages. You'll apologize, you'll excuse me for the analogies throughout the talk, but I'm going to stretch it as much as I can, and you're going to be my guinea pigs to see if it actually sticks or not. So, the first part is really about ultra-processed food and how we can draw some of the narrative built around it over the past 25 years and use it for our digital environment in order to make it much easier for even my grandparents to understand why it is so important to actually have a healthy digital diet. And it's not just a luxury to have privacy or some decentralization. I will, in the second part, just briefly mention the AI wave and how it's accelerating a lot of what we call over-processing of data, over-processed apps, and the insidious characteristics of ultra-processed apps, including mass surveillance, including lock-in mechanisms, etc. And finally, I'll just give you the alternative, what we call sovereign apps, apps that allow you to have a healthy digital diet without having to learn everything from the ground up or convince everyone around you to switch apps so that you can actually communicate with them, etc. And what are those nutritious characteristics in those apps that you should be looking out for. So let's start. Quick definition. What is ultra-processed food? I think we all have a small mental model of what it is, but more precisely, we refer to ultra-processed foods as industrial formulations made mostly from substances extracted or derived from foods, combined with additives, artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners, and they come with little to no intact whole food remaining within them. I'll give you some examples after. And a simple way to spot them is that if you look at the back of your hyper-processed food, you'll see a list of ingredients, substances that not only look like your chemistry class manual, but also is things that you would never have at home or never even consider cooking with. So, what do we know about ultra-processed food? I think you're all really familiar with the consequences of those things. Every day we have new research. This is one of the latest one on how it might be connected to dementia, but the risks are quite prolific. You have obesity, weight gain, on average 500 more calories per day to the person that is consuming ultra-processed food. Type 2 diabetes, very connected to it, cardiovascular diseases, including heart disease and stroke, a bunch of different cancers, depression and anxiety, early cause of mortality all together. Sorry, I started by saying it's a light-hearted talk, and I'm now talking to you about all the diseases you can get in your life. So, the reason why it's so important to draw this analogy and why I want to stretch it as much as possible is that if there is one thing that has widespread consensus despite political divides, so across the political aisles, is that ultra-processed foods are harmful. Whether it is your current left-wing administration or the next right-wing administration, they have this point in common, their voters as well, which is the understanding that what they're eating is not good for them and there needs to be an effort to dissociate or try to introduce more healthy food into people's lives, which is, of course, not just something to do with the click of your fingers. It is a socioeconomic matter because it is the less wealthy among us that are most often focused on ultra-processed food consumption. So the solution needs to be general and not just targeted. Now, how are those ultra-processed foods made? Anybody knows what this really appetizing pink goo is? Chicken nuggets, yes, okay, I see we have some fellow Redditors in the crowd. So yes, this is your average chicken nugget. What's wrong with it? So first of all, it's one point that I'll keep coming back to, especially in my analogy with digital apps. It's impossible to tell what the hell is inside. Okay, so okay, the final product, you think you're eating chicken, but actually it looks more like the Play-Doh of my little cousin. So those ultra-processed foods, they're engineered for what they call the bliss point. So the exact ratio of salt, sugar, fat that maximizes your cravings without actually satisfying what your body needs in terms of nutrition. They're stripped, again, of all the nutrients, fiber, vitamins, and whole ingredients removed to extend the shelf life of those ultra-processed byproducts. They're super obfuscated, sorry for the language, AF, because they're designed to make it impossible, like we said, to see what's inside with the naked eye, and even if you have the description, they always play with the actual components. For example, if you eat a yogurt that says 0% sugar, you should know that they can play with the 0%. Anything under 0.5% is actually considered 0% legally. So there is always little insidious way in which you're being lied to or fed something that you thought was healthy but is not necessarily so. Finally, this is maybe more of an economic logic, but the reason why those things exist is that it allows for cheap ingredients, it allows for setting prices that are incredibly difficult to compete with, and so are hyper accessible to people that are potentially struggling or not able to go to your average Whole Foods and buy a $15 salad. So, just one extra example, Pringles, which I'm a big fan of, unfortunately has less than 50% of potato. So it's just a good indication of, even something as simple looking as a potato crisp is not a potato crisp. Now, for the digital side of the talk, the same playbook is applied to a lot of our digital life. This is where I'll try not to stretch too much the analogy, but you'll see the same words appearing from hyper-processing to obfuscation of ingredients to the addiction that they're designed to cause in you, etc. You recognize the logos, I don't need to go into them. So, sorry, my slides are a bit all over the place. I will justify the provocativeness of the picture in the next slides, but essentially what both ultra-processed food and ultra-processed digital diets do is that they create a dependency for their users, for people consuming them, while delivering diminishing value. And both use the same tactics, obfuscation of components, convenience, addiction, price points that are impossible to ignore, monopolistic distribution, etc. So, just to go a little bit deeper into it, sorry, I see the slides are a bit all over, but we'll persist. The first is that they're the first is that they're engineered for the engagement peak, really trying to maximize the amount of screen time that you dedicate to that product, to that service, etc. The other is that they strip people of their agency, either through opaque algorithms, through data extraction, lock-in mechanisms that make it very difficult for you to even understand how you could get out of the platform. This gets even worse with AI systems. We'll touch on it in a bit. Of course, they're optimized for profit, so user experience degrades as extraction increases, and you have really antagonistic incentives on both sides here. You have closed-sourced components, so most of our apps, at least those that 3.5 billion people spend every day on, like Google Docs, like Google Drive, like TikTok, etc., we know very little about how they're actually made. The servers are out of bounds, the code is unavailable. Even if it was available, it changes every day, and there are new mechanisms introduced without you actually knowing or ever consenting to. Last time I connected to my Microsoft account, there was a big fat Copilot message telling me that now I should write not with my own thoughts, but by using the AI that Microsoft provides. And this contributes to that hyper-processed digital life we're creating, which I'm trying to press pause on. The other is that the packages promise privacy, promise fun, liberation, etc., but you cannot actually verify it. Even if there is a label, there is no proof, there is no way for from the technical to the average person to actually verify any of the claims made. Same for those apps that claim encryption, privacy, security, but those are mainly marketing words and don't provide the tools to verify the claim. The pictures will continue worsening. If you can't inspect it, you cannot trust it. It's a very simple motto that you should carry with you as you go through your digital diet reformulation, let's call it. And one slide here is dedicated to the concept of enshittification. Most of you are probably familiar with the term. For those of you who are not, it's something that was coined by this activist / journalist / technologist, Cory Doctorow. It became the word of the year in 2023, so it's catching on. And it describes basically a process in 3 stages in which every platform we know and love, or used to love, becomes shit. So the first is you bait. Same thing with hyper-processed food, but in digital platforms, you try to be good to users. The first time they are introduced to you, you offer free features, great UX, you subsidize the prices as much as possible, which, by the way, is exactly what is happening today with AI. If you think that your $200 Claude subscription is going to last, I have bad news for you. So Amazon is well known for that. They were selling below cost. Google gave clean search, but then started introducing ads everywhere, and now something even worse called Gemini, etc., etc. Then, the moment that they reach a certain critical mass of users, they switch. They start abusing those very free tier users and concentrating most of our efforts towards business customers that come with big bags of cash and are actually much more in line with what the bottom line of the company is, which is maximize the amount of money coming in. So from that point onwards, you start seeing more ads, more data harvesting, surveillance or bulk data collection you never were made aware of, or that weren't even present in the privacy policy, but suddenly are, and nobody kept track of. So this is how organic search died. This is how sponsored content is now the first 4 results you get on Google search, etc. Here is the lock-in business. Here is where you lock in businesses as well. Finally, you go into the full extraction phase where even your business customers get abused, ad prices go up, quality of the ad reach goes down. You can see it with Meta. Their ad business is going down significantly, and they're trying to resubsidize it now in order to make it attractive again for businesses. But unfortunately, by that stage, you're locked in. It is very difficult to get out of those platforms, especially if you've built a bit of your career, your persona, your business around it, and you've already sunk $1 million into trying to build your distribution machine into it. So this is how platforms die. First, actually, we just did the more advanced description of it. Next. You all know those platforms. Google search went from organize the world's information and don't be evil to SEO, spam, sponsored result, and AI-generated slop everywhere. There is a nice slide next about this. Facebook, same. It started for friends and family. Well, after the try to find a girl that is hot on your campus, which was the original idea of Facebook. And it became a cesspool of rage bait, ad saturation, etc. Amazon, same. It used to be the everything store, and it became a anti-competitive platform by excellence, where if you have a product that does well, they undercut you with their own alternative at a lower price, so you get completely obliterated out of the platform. Same for Twitter, no need to tell you. You probably all have mental health issues because of it. At least I'm projecting what I have. Uber, same thing. Wage manipulation is rampant at the moment. The Europeans are trying to regulate it, but it's not working very well. Spotify, Adobe, Notion. Google Docs is one that really pisses me off the most. One, because we're building something that is its alternative, but mostly because it was such a simple app. I wanted to write on it, collaborate with people, and now I'm supposed to have everything rewritten by some slop machine, or my colleague will send me a document that is sloppified from start to bottom, and I have to pretend that, yeah, okay, it was a great document. Let me give you some feedback. So, and it's hard to think of any platform that we all use that hasn't fallen into that slow decay process. Now, I'll skip this. It's pretty much the same, that you get 0 guarantees of privacy, portability, agency, etc. It gets worse and worse. I don't know what your screen time is. Mine is double this average. So it is important to see those metrics as just a big call for how urgent the problem is. Now, just a few things about AI, because it is one of those mechanisms or components that is accelerating the process that I am describing here. Go do your own little tricky searches on Google, and you'll find incredible results. So how many rocks should I eat per day? According to a geologist at UC Berkeley, you should eat at least 1 small rock per day. Okay. This is one of the most used services on the internet, and we're supposed to accept the introduction of AI without the consent of its users as progress, rather than what it actually is, which is just an attempt at extract more value from the users on those apps, even at the detriment of even the basic purpose of the original app itself. So instead of getting search results, you're getting some predictions that are statistically defined on what could a good rate of rock eating look like. So this goes everywhere in multiple categories. You have AI spam floods on most social media, synthetic media that is introduced. You cannot even distinguish anymore if you're looking at a real image, video, etc. With it, the trust between ourselves, between communities, even towards the platform erodes. You have hyper-personalized behavior manipulation. This, even before AI or before transformers was a big issue, you had the best engineers in the world and billions of dollars behind them, all optimized for how do we get Andreas to be addicted, or to get him to buy the next shitty product based on his Google image searches. And now it's becoming even more personalized, even more widespread across the internet. It follows you, etc. Price discrimination is completely related also with AI being pepper sprayed everywhere, not pepper sprayed, the wrong analogy, kind of. Yes, basically those traps are getting smarter. The 4 boxes here kind of say the same story. What I want to get your attention on is that it's about to get much worse on your favorite AI tools and platforms. One warning sign that I discovered recently, I just wanted to share it, is that Fiji Simo, who used to be the architect of Facebook's news feed monetization, is now the chief executive of application and business at OpenAI. And there is this great quote by them, which is, "Imagine AI that changes its answers depending on which business paid for the priority slot." Amazing future ahead of us. So, let's go into the solutions now, or try to get you a little bit more optimistic about our future. These are some of the principles. One missing, I'll add it in a bit. about 4 nutritious software or a healthier digital diet. One is that you want end-to-end, meaning platforms transmit what user request and not what the algorithm inferred or preferred from the activity of the user. So remove the opaque intermediaries. The right to exit or the right to rage quit if you prefer, which is I want to leave a platform without losing my data, my content, my social graph, and I want that freedom not to be dependent on the platform telling me, yes, give us 6 to 10 years of business days, and we'll get back to you on if this is possible. Or they'll give you a big fat CSV file like on WhatsApp, which nobody knows how to dissect or make any sense of. Maybe it's a bit easier today with AI, but still worthless most of the time. You want data sovereignty, so you want to own your data, period. No fine print, no change of policies that suddenly make you unable to rely on the mental model you had for the platform that you're using. No hidden surveillance, which keeps getting worse, including with the mass introduction of AI everywhere. Interoperability. This is something we spend a lot of time talking about in our team. We gave a talk recently on guerrilla interoperability, so the concept of even if the app you're using does not allow you to interop with another app or take your data out, there are ways for you to force that reality onto the centralized app. Check out the YouTube video if you're interested in more, or come talk to me. Transparency, open source code, anyone should be able to audit, modify, and improve. No more black boxes. And finally, sustainability, something that ideally is funded by users, not only advertisers or not at all, and where the customer is the user, not the product. Finally, one that I'll add, I missed it here, but end-to-end encryption, we believe very strongly that it should become the next core primitive on the internet. We're collaborating more and more on all types of files, in all types of platforms, and it's important that we try to actually have privacy by default everywhere. Just a quick table. I won't go over every detail of it. It's more for a picture if you're interested. But some of the most important features are privacy, data ownership, no vendor lock-in, verifiability of the software, no censorship, a business model that's sustainable and not by default design against the benefits of its users. And here are some examples. Finally, just a quick slide. I won't go too deep into it because I'm over time already. Sorry, I have a propensity for a bit of blah blah. Which is the local first philosophy, or what more recently people have rebranded as file over app. What is it? Very simply, in most of today's digital tools, it is a philosophy of app over file. So your data lives inside the app, on their servers, in their proprietary format, PDF, docx, it's not open formats. Leaving means losing all that, meaning losing really your digital life. You need permission to go, the app is a product, etc. File over app, which is how we built every app at Fileverse, is puts the file as the centerpiece of everything that you do. So your data lives in your files, in the files that you own, in open formats, on your device ideally first. Apps become interchangeable tools that read and write your files, and you can swap them freely. So if everything becomes a file, it doesn't matter what app you're using. You can go from one to the other and get the best UI that you want. You can walk away very easily, and the file, of course, outlives the app. The company can go bankrupt, a company can disappear, can turn evil, etc. But if everything is centered around your app, you don't really care. So own the file, and you will never be held so hostage by the app. Finally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what can you do to reclaim your digital diet? One is ask yourself what apps you use daily, which ones are ultra processed, which nourish you. Second, substitute those apps ideally, especially cloud monopolies. Find sovereign alternatives, own your data, support open source, advocate for better apps out there. This is just an example of the ones to avoid and the ones to actually move towards. For those that don't know the logos, you have Favos, Brave, Radical, Tor, Empire, Signal, GrapheneOS, Gnosis, and Movad. Highly recommend all of them. And I'll finish, wrong slide. Okay, I'll finish with that actually. Thank you very much. I don't know if I have time for questions. If anybody wants, come find me later. Yeah, thanks.